Has this ever happened to you? Or this? Will this make your memoirs? At Shelter Insurance, we can't iron out all the glitches in modern life. But we can manage your auto, home, and life insurance just fine. Shelter Insurance. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
Get the insurance coverage you need at the right price. Call Mark Manning today.
When it comes to quality equipment that will last the test of time, Bush Hog stands out. Their full line of products include rotary cutters, landscaping and tillage equipment, hay tools, boom mowers, construction equipment, zero-turn and finishing mowers. So if you're looking for an investment and not an expense, Bush Hog will deliver dependability and value. Bush Hog has been serving American farmers and ranchers since 1951.
What is Grassroots? Going to tell you all about it with Bill Miller. Bill, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Good to see you again.
Good customer of ours for many, many years. We do a lot of business with Bill Miller. Bought a little tractor from him. But Bill, tell us a little bit about your new adventure. Been here a little over a year, and you guys have got it going on. Let's talk about your business.
Well, we're really excited. We're south of Batesville, out on 167. We've assembled several brands of products from Exmark to Gravely, obviously the Steel Power equipment. We're a Massey Ferguson dealer, Bush Hog and Rhino products, feel-free kayaks. I mean, the list just goes on and on. So we've assembled a lot of real high-quality stuff to try to build a business around, and so far we've been very blessed and very fortunate. We've had a really good outpouring of support and a lot of customers.
Yeah, you said that 2018 was real good for you, and you've gained a lot of customers, and not just us, but several folks in Jackson County and obviously in Independence County and throughout really north central Arkansas. And what a selection of steel products. You know, you come in, I'm talking about if you need any of these products right here, they're available. I mean, let's talk a little bit about steel in specifically, because you have product.
Yeah, we have. I've had a lot of experience with steel from my prior employment, and then coming out here, we knew that there was a need in the area for another provider, and we've been inundated with support just because of traffic, where folks live, back and forth to work. You know, they need to be able to get it on their way in or get it on their way home and not drive back to town. And we've tried to provide a very wide selection of everything that most folks need, so we don't have to give them the old, well, we'll have to order that.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you we won't have to tell you that.
That's exactly right, yeah.
But for the most part, you come in, you need a saw, you need a blower, you need a trimmer, we've got it. And we've got most of the accessories that you will need on a daily basis. We service what we sell, we sharpen, chain, we do the whole thing to support the end user. And so that's worked very well for us.
Well, we'll talk about lawnmowers, because we're filming at the end of January. It's a real cold day, and you think lawnmowers, but it's not going to be much longer before we've got weeds growing, grass growing, lawnmower selection. We have got a lot of lawnmowers to talk about. Share with us that information, please.
Well, obviously, as I mentioned before, Exmark product, it kind of sells itself. A lot of commercial folks use Exmark. We've had great success with those, and we've sold over 25 units in our first year with them. We're a little bit new to the Gravely business. We've had it since we started in January. Another well-known brand that has been out of this area for a number of years, but we find that there are a lot of people that own them that have been traveling several miles to get parts and service.
Sure.
So we've had good luck with those. We've sold north of 25 of those units in the last year, so really good stuff.
Massey Ferguson, you mentioned, and you go out on your lot and you see the selection of small utility tractors that you have, but talk a little bit from the bottom to the top.
We sell from a 22.5 horsepower through 160 horsepower. We'll have hay equipment coming on in the spring of 19, so we'll have those products, disc mowers, hay rakes, tedders, balers, all that stuff. The full line. I mean, everything you would expect from a major manufacturer, which Massey Ferguson is part of the AGCO family, but AGCO owns Massey, they own Heston, they own a lot of other brands. We can get parts for those. We can get parts for the old heritage brands, the Olivers, the Massey Harris, you know, all of those old brands that have been consolidated over the years. We can still get a fair amount of those parts for those machines. So we've got the full line, what you would expect from a major manufacturer of agriculture, lawn and garden products.
want to mention just a couple of things here before we get off. Anytime you open up a new business, you have growing pains from time to time, but this has been something that you've wanted to do for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And when you're locally owned and locally operated, you make local decisions.
Yeah.
And you are doing something that you've dreamed about all your life, and it's been off to a great start.
Yeah, well, like I say, I make this statement a lot, very blessed, and we have been. I've got good folks. I've got some staff that came with me from my former job that have got a lot of experience. My top salesman, he was a Kubota sales guy here for 15 plus years. He knows a lot of people that I didn't know. My past from Deere, plus my service guys in the back, some of those guys came from John Deere. So we've assembled a team of people that have a lot of connections in the community, in the area, and we just bank off those relationships. We try to take care of those people.
When you walk in the door, if you have a product here that you might be interested in, and you mentioned the kayaks too, but financing, we have financing to help you if you need it.
Multiple sources. Of course, Massey has their own in-house. The Exmark and Gravely both have their own in-house financing available. So we've got several avenues that we can get you financed and take care of whatever price point that you want to be or need to be for your monthly payment. We can most likely accommodate that with one of the finance companies we use.
Happy customers at Ben and David Black. Like I say, we bought Ben bought a tractor and bought a trailer up here, and love doing business. Been doing business with you for many, many years. And we encourage you folks, if you're looking for any of the products that Bill's talking about, come do business with a local guy right here in Batesville. And you've got connections in Jackson County, as we mentioned. So a lot of things that we look at from our heart and say, we want to do business with people that like doing business with us, but we want to do business with people that have been fair to us, honest with us, tell us the truth. We know we get good service.
Right.
And that's what we get at Grassroots and Bill Miller.
Well, that's what we build our foundation on.
There's no doubt about it. Bill, I appreciate it so much. Folks, do a little business with Grassroots. Merchants and Planters Bank, downtown Newport, Jim Gowan Jr., President and CEO of this organization. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you very much, David. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you, sir. We hear so much about the Gowans. Of course, your dad, Jim Gowan Sr., in your position for many, many years. And
yes.
We're going to find out a little bit about you today.
Okay.
For those people that may or may not know Jim Gowan Jr., tell us a little bit about you and kind of tell us how you got into the banking business.
Well, I'm a 1987 graduate of Newport High School, and proud to be a Greyhound,
Yes,
and
sir.
have been my whole life since my family moved here in 10th grade. And so the last 3 years of high school, I've been here in Newport, and it's been great. I went to college at University of Arkansas at Little Rock and got a degree in finance. And after I did that, I went to work for the state bank department. I was a bank examiner. I was a financial analyst for that group, and also examined holding companies, bank holding companies. And I had the opportunity to come to work at Merchants Planters Bank back in, I guess it was December of 2000. And so it's been, last month, it's been 18 years
Wow.
since I came back and started working here at the bank, and it's just been a whirlwind ever since.
Yeah, my friend. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, banking in your blood as a young man, and obviously your dad had some influence on you, but when did you decide along the way that's probably what I want to do?
I think probably when I was in high school. I actually worked here at the bank part-time. I was on the teller line.
Right.
I worked back in bookkeeping, and that was back in the days when we actually had to count checks and stuff checks into statements. And I did that for summers and after school from about 3:15 until about 6 o'clock at night throughout the whole year. And then once again, spring break usually, and then the summers. And I thought, this is something I think that I would enjoy. I wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy quarterback, but that was not
Just didn't
gonna
work
ever
out, did
happen.
it?
No, that didn't work out too good for me. But I guess my fallback position was banking, and so that's kind of how I started here, and where I started thinking about that's what I want to do, is working part-time in high school and throughout college too, and I've just enjoyed it ever since.
Well, and then full-time for 18 years, and it kind of leads me into talking about changes in the industry and changes that you've seen when you started that and you talk about stuffing those checks in there. Like, there's been a lot of change in the banking industry, and it changes year to year and sometimes day to day. Talk about some of that changes the changes that you've seen down through the years.
It's amazing, and I know even for people that have had a longer career than I have, 8 years at the bank department plus 18 here at the bank, the amount of change is incredible. But even in that amount of time, the difference is just staggering, and it's all pretty much due to technology. You know, now we have businesses currently here at Merchants and Planters Bank, that businesses that can take their checks, run them through a machine at their business, their place of business, and they get automatically deposited into their account here. 2019, one of the things we're looking really forward to is we're going to be offering, within the next few months, we're going to be offering that you can take your cell phone, take a picture of a check, and it's automatically deposited directly into your account at the bank. And so I think technology is just the biggest life change in banking that there has been. I can't imagine anything that's not touched by technology in the banking world these days. So there's been all kinds of changes, regulatory changes, a lot since I started my banking career as well. I started once again as a regulator, but the amount of regulatory burden then versus now there's a lot more after the 2008 national mortgage crisis that community banks had nothing to do with.
Sure.
But when all the new laws started being passed, community banks like Merchants and Planters, we had to follow those laws, and so we have compliant staff to make sure that we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing and keeps us out of trouble. So I like those guys.
There you go. There you go. You mentioned community bank.
Yes.
And we have talked about this on several occasions with Tara and others here. Kind of explain what a community bank is and what makes us different.
Community banking is different than the big banks. The bigger banks, you know, they're not so concerned about what's happening in their community. A bank like Merchants and Planters Bank and all community banks, we are interested in making our communities better. We want to see our communities thrive. Merchants and Planters Bank we have 11 banking locations in 5 different counties, and we want to have a very strong community presence in each one of those markets. That's the most important thing, is to take care of the community, because if you help take care of the community is going to take care of you. And that's just a mindset of community banking.
Well, and you mentioned, you know, you start out, and we'll talk a little bit about the history of the bank, and then you mentioned the several locations, several banks. Mm-hmm. I mean, for years it was Merchants and Planters Bank in downtown Newport, Arkansas, and then we really expanded, went out on the highway.
Yeah.
But we've expanded a lot further.
That's
That's the nature of the business, and it has to be done.
It has to be done. You have to continue to grow. And just like with any business, if you're becoming stagnant, then you're not going to flourish. And then any business has to continue to grow, and that's what we want to do. We have, as I mentioned a moment ago, we have 11 banking locations in 5 different counties. We started in 1946, so this year, 2019, will be our 73rd birthday. Actually, it'll be in April, but 73 years of Merchants and Planters Bank, and we've been nothing but Merchants and Planters Bank. It's been that bank since day one. But along with the 11 banking locations, we have an insurance company. Sure. We have an investment company. We have a trust department. We have a mortgage division that can help you with a home loan. Mm-hmm. And it's just, we can really be your one-stop shop for any type of financial needs that you have can be handled right here at Merchants and Planters Bank.
I think one of the most important things, Jim, and looking back on doing business with people, and I'm a people person, and you're a people person, and you have to be in this industry. Sure. And I like when you can walk into the bank and sit down and talk to somebody and get an answer from here. It's not like we're going to call St. Louis or we got to call out to so and so. We're going to get a decision, and most of the times it's always a fair decision, and hopefully sometimes a favorable decision.
Absolutely, local decision making. You can't really say enough about the importance of local decision making, and that's another key facet of what makes a community bank a community bank. And local decision making, as you know, if you walk in the main office here, the first office that you see is my office.
Absolutely.
And so, and I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm behind that desk, and I'm always here. My door is always open to anybody in the community. I have board members, I have shareholders, I have customers, I have people who I want to be customers. They'll just pop in, and my door is open to those individuals all the time. Another interesting thing about our institution, our community bank, is that our largest, and this is one thing that probably most people don't know about Merchants and Planters Bank, is that our largest shareholder is actually our employees.
Right.
It is through our employee stock ownership plan that entity owns the largest amount of stock in our bank. And so if you drive through to cash the drive-through teller to cash a check, that teller is an owner of this bank.
There you go.
If you go to one of our CSRs to open a deposit account or a savings account for a grandchild or a Christmas club account, that CSR is an owner of the bank. If you go borrow money from one of our loan officers, that loan officer is an owner of this bank. And I think that that's one of the key things about Merchants and Planters Bank is that every one of our employees is an owner, and they're going to take ownership of the banking relationship to try to make sure that they're taking care of the customer, because they know how important it is to them individually, not just to the organization, but it's important to them. If the bank does well, then their retirement plan does well.
Absolutely.
And so it's very beneficial for us.
Well, I know that people that work at Merchants and Planters Bank seem to have worked at Merchants and Planters Bank for a long, long time.
That's true. That's true. I'm at 18 years last month. I'm still one of the young ones.
You are. You are.
We have people who have worked here for over 40 years. We have people that have worked here for 10, 20, 30, and like I said, that we've had individuals work here for over 40 years. And it's just it's a fantastic thing. It's a great place.
Sir.
We try to make it like a family. When mentioned my father earlier, when he originally, my first year or so that I was here, he mentioned the banking family, and I never really could quite grasp that right at first. But it took me a couple of years, and I started understanding what he meant by family. If we treat people like family, then they're going to want to work here, and that's the way we want to be.
Tell me a little bit more about Mr. and Mrs. Gowan as we speak. Tell me about those two folks. How are they doing?
They're doing very well.
Good.
Dad has decided that he's going to slow down a little bit in 2019. He will still be here. He'll be involved in the bank. He'll still be on the board, but he's not in the bank every day like he used to be.
Right. Well, deservedly so, that he needs to take a little time off for himself and do some things that he would like to do.
That's what he tells me, at least.
Well, and you've allowed this to happen, I guess.
I guess so,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
So he owes me one.
He does that, doesn't he? I appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you,
Jim
David. I
Gowan
appreciate
Jr., who is the president and CEO of my hometown bank right here in Newport, Arkansas. I don't know why anybody would do any banking anywhere else. Love these folks down here. They've been good to us. They've been good to our family. They're good to our community. We appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you, David. I appreciate you, too.
At the Jackson's Funeral Home, and as Bud Black said for many, many years, at the 1900 block of Malcolm Avenue.
That's where we sit.
Jan Jackson Maris, how are you doing?
I'm wonderful, David. How are you?
Well, I'm great. I understand you had an imploding morning. Was that today?
It was today. I think it was.
You got busy, in other words?
We got busy this morning, and we had to put ourselves off till 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Jan and I have been doing interviews for years, and we didn't talk about what we're going to talk about today, but it's sometimes difficult to get a scheduled time. I mean, to do the interview, because we'll schedule one, and then all of a sudden you've got a family that's got to come in, which takes precedent. And that is a common occurrence because you guys are so busy that we get it done every month, don't we?
We get it done eventually.
That's right. Just want to talk.
And if not, we get Karen to step in.
Karen always
she's
perfect.
a good relief to the camera. So
she's good, isn't she? She's good. We enjoy doing this program and get to come down and visit with Jan, and it's a different way at the Jackson's Funeral Home. We talk about that a lot, Jan, and it's special. People, and I was going to ask you this, I was thinking about it this morning. I guess you do a lot of business with people that you've done business with before.
Oh, yes. There are some times when we bring a file in here, and there might be 8 relatives that are close relatives of theirs.
Right.
If anybody has a family of any size, I almost always, unless it's just somebody who's moved in or not done business with us before, I almost always have 2 to 3 files: a mother, father, and spouse.
Well,
and a lot of times a child.
Yeah. Oh, is that right? Yeah.
And we know those relationships, and I think it makes it special because we go back and take the information from the old files, and a lot of times people will enjoy seeing their parents' signatures or their grandparents' signatures or what they wrote, you know, instruction-wise for us, or what did Grandma do?
Right.
What songs did she have? Because I think Mother picked those, and that's what she would like. I hear that a lot.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was going through some stuff last night at my house, and I ran across just a handwritten note set at the table. Earl and Buddy Black, my dad, 1980.
Oh.
And to see the sheet had the sheet. And I mean, it was good. It was good stuff to have.
It's good stuff to see.
Yeah, and to see what transpired. But you guys take care of folks, and for, like you say, 7, 8 times, you know, and maybe more. And even if you're the first time, it's always good.
It is.
It's always a pleasure for these folks to come in and have you guys taking care of them.
Well, I don't know if I'd call it a pleasure because it is
Yeah.
the saddest
It's
time
a
in their
sad
life.
time.
But we do everything we can to make it an easier time
Right.
and to personalize things the way people want them personalized. We kind of go over what we suggest or what they might like, and some people say, no, I want very plain, and some people say, oh, yes, I want that
Sure.
all.
Sure.
And so that's what we do, and we try to put a special touch on all of the obituaries we write by asking leading questions that let people know, that let us know the heart of that person.
Right. Absolutely.
So I think it makes a difference, and we appreciate everyone who chooses to use Jackson's Funeral Home. It means a great deal to us and all of our family.
I think when I use the word pleasure, and I'm talking about from my standpoint of when I go to a funeral, when I go to a visitation, it's a pleasure to get to see everybody, even though it's a sad time.
It is.
Most of the time. But it's also a pleasure to know that they have received, they've received the best. They've received the best service.
We have certainly given it our best effort.
Yeah, that's what you do. That's what you try to do, is give the best effort. And been doing that for how many years now? For quite a long time.
1946 to 2018.
That's over my head.
It's over my head.
That's a long time. That's
How long is
54.
that, Ben?
That's 54 and almost 20. It's almost 64. It's 63.
Oh, it's more than that.
60, 46 to 2000 is how many?
It's over 70 years.
Wow, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, I guess
I think it's 72 years.
the trial and error
About
has
72
probably
years.
the trial and error has probably worked. I think y'all tried, and I think you guys are doing a pretty good job at that. But
I think we had very good teachers.
well, I want to talk just before we get out of here, and I know you got to go. The process that you have to follow is unique in everybody's funeral arrangements. Talk a little bit about how people are all unique and how everything's a little different.
Well, I mean, we're all the same
Right.
in that most of the time we have the same family relationships,
Right.
and everybody has parents. Sometimes the person doesn't know who their parents were.
Right, yeah.
You know, and or sometimes the children who are sitting around the table, their grandparents died before they were born, and they don't
Right.
have any idea of what their
Right.
name was.
Yeah, yeah.
And that happens frequently, and then they'll go back home and search through a Bible or look at birth certificates or things like that. I mean, they have to really dig for some information sometimes. But what's different, I think, how we're all different, is that we're all the same, but we are all different. But in what our family thinks is important to us.
Right, right.
And I
yeah.
think that's one of the biggest things about pre-planning that people should consider. Is it is such a relief to a family every time when they come in and their loved one has pre-planned their funeral, because they know that they're doing what they wanted.
Right, absolutely.
And it just gives a sense of relief to the family. I mean, and I can't tell you how many times I have people hug me and as they're walking out the doors. I mean, usually that always takes place
Sure,
because you
absolutely.
develop a relationship with people in this room. And they say, this was so easy, I'm so grateful. And you were grateful Bud had it done.
Absolutely.
And taken care of.
Absolutely.
And
very few questions that Jane or we had to answer.
That's right.
It was taken
He
care
had
of.
it.
He had it to
had
a
it
T.
all written out.
He had
and
it to a
Jerry
T.
had told all of us.
Yeah.
My parents had all of theirs done. As a matter of fact, my dad went home one day for lunch. My mother had kind of quit working by that time. And he said, Joyce, I prepaid our funerals today, and I wrote a check for mine, and I want you to write a check for yours. And she said, oh, buddy, you married me, and you can bury me. Now you go back over there and write your check.
That's exactly right.
So
You got to straighten him out on that one, didn't you?
So he kind of stuck his lip out and came over here and wrote
He
his
did,
check.
didn't
He had to pay for her funeral, too.
Well, there's no doubt that prearrangement is really, really important. And like you say, I've experienced from both sides of not having it done and having it done and having it done is no doubt uneasy on the family. Very,
It
very
is.
important.
It
Very
is.
important.
It's emotionally easy, financially easy.
Yes.
And you do not have to worry about the price
Right.
going up on
Yeah.
you.
Solid,
And
isn't it?
that's, I mean, it's a, as you know, if you've bought a car in 2002 and you buy a car in 2018,
They've gone up. Yeah.
they've gone up a lot.
Yeah.
And funerals do too.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, just like our health insurance.
Yeah. Yeah, or anything else in this world.
know,
Everything
I
goes
know.
up. Everything goes up.
Like I say, actually, my mother almost died when I was born, and I spent 1 month. I wasn't sick, but there was no one to keep me. My mother was in Little Rock in the hospital, and I spent a month in the old Harris Hospital, which is where the Department of Human Services office is now.
Okay.
And that bill was $118.46 for the whole month.
You are
I'm
kidding.
not kidding. Can you imagine a baby staying in a nursery at the hospital for 30 days?
No, ma'am. I sure cannot.
And especially for $118.
Well, that might get you an appointment
times
today.
change, although I'm a few years older.
Yeah, I know, but you're still good, and you're good at what you guys do here. And
Thank you.
it's always my pleasure to get to come down and visit with you. We're at the Jackson's Funeral Home at the 1900 block of Malcolm Avenue, Jan Jackson, Mayor. So we thank you for your time, and just keep on trucking, girl.
Thank you, David. You too.
Let's continue on with more of the show. My good friend is John Chadwell, and we see him each and every month at NEDC down in downtown Newport. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, you look good for an older fella, and the Super Bowl's gone, and we can't talk about pro football anymore. So
I know.
I guess we have to talk about the good things that are happening at NEDC.
Well, let's do that.
Let's
that sounds
do that.
great.
Hey, I'm so excited. The video that is playing on NEDC's and on my Facebook page also and on the website. Y'all did a video about the industrial side. I had one done. Talk a little bit about that video because it is simply remarkable.
Well, when we were designated as a competitive community by the Arkansas Economic Development Commission, one of the perks that came with that was the certified site that we have, which now has 76 acres in it. They brought in a professional video group, flew a drone over, took aerial photographs of the whole thing, and then they put together this video that shows our relation to transportation, airports, workforce, and all of this, and shows the site, utilities on the site. It's a really, really neat video. If we were to have to go out and pay for it, I bet we'd spend $25,000, $30,000.
You'd spend a lot of money on it.
Getting that done, and we got it for free.
Right.
Because we certified our site, and we're a competitive community, and so the state came in and did that for free. And the nice part is the state's now going to take that video and they're going to send it out to a lot of companies they think might be looking at Arkansas as a location, and more particularly Newport for us. And then we have it to send out. But it is on our NEDC Facebook page, so go to the Facebook page for the Newport Economic Development Commission. Play it. It's, I don't know, about 2.5 minutes.
Couple of minutes, yeah.
But it just takes you through all of the benefits of our industrial park site. And it's been a big addition, a big tool for us that we're going to be able to use for a good while. A lot of people said, well, why do you care about being a competitive community? You know, why is that important? Well, first off, it says we're ready for industrial development. AEDC has set up this program, and so if you are certified by their program, then that gives them more confidence in you. And this video is part of it. You know, that they would be willing to spend the money to market Newport,
Sure.
you know, as one of the primary sites. And then Entergy also runs the Arkansas Site Selection Network. And you can go to arkansasiteselection.com on the internet, and you can pull up any site in the state of Arkansas. In fact, you can go on there and you can type, I need 50 acres, I want to be so far from an interstate, you know, and whatever your criteria is, and it'll bring up every site in the state that meets your criteria. But on the front of the web page, they put up the certified sites, and there's only 4 right now, and we're one of those 4. So when you pull it up, before you even type anything in, there's Newport right there on the front. All of that stuff just gives us a leg up. You know, it just gives us an advantage when we're competing for industry and for business, and it's advertising that we couldn't afford to pay for, you know, if we had to buy it. And so by participating in the programs and by working with our partners to become as professional as we can be, we get all these extra benefits added in. And then on top of that, it makes us even more ready when we have a prospect or somebody come along.
Well, we've often talked about in what the committee down here does, what the commission does, and what we do at the NEDC office is it's a process. And part of the process in attracting people, in attracting jobs, and attracting industry, whatever the case may be, is to be able to have something positive out there that's going on that other people are saying about us. We tell folks this is what we have, but other people are talking about us, and they continue to do, even on a statewide level.
Sure.
We're doing good things here.
We're doing good things, and then when AEDC recommends a site, so let's say somebody contacts the Arkansas Economic Development Commission and says, hey, we need 5 sites. We're going to put our industry, we're going to look at Arkansas for our industry. We want you to give us your best 5 sites. Our job is to make sure that AEDC considers us one of their best 5 sites.
There you go.
And so we're doing everything we can to make sure that that's where we line up with them. And so if they say there's something we need to be doing, then we want to do it, because that makes us something they can market. The director of AEDC, Mike Preston, often says, you know, as the state agency, they don't have any product to sell. The product to sell is the local communities.
That is correct.
And so they work with the local communities to create this product that's for sale. And so we want to work with them to create that. And we're excited. And I mean, this last year has been, you know, a really good year for us when we got Grangus to come in and open the aluminum factory back up, when we've got the 2 medical marijuana dispensaries that are coming in adding jobs. Arkansas Steel is adding jobs. Shearer's Foods adding jobs. So there's just a lot of job growth and creation going on in our community. But we're looking toward the future, and we're looking toward what do we need to do to get one the next year and the next year and the next year, so that we can keep on.
Well, if you didn't get a chance to go to the chamber banquet the other night, and Skip Rutherford was there and made an outstanding presentation, you can watch that on Facebook or on Cable 15 TV, and just talking about the positive things that are happening here. And Skip Rutherford's a guy that has roots here in Jackson County and in Batesville. He grew up in Batesville, but if you hadn't had a chance to see that, from a chamber standpoint, what a great banquet we had the other night.
It was a wonderful banquet. And I thought all the award winners were well deserved, and it was a great group of people there. And one of the neat things was I looked around the room and I saw some folks I didn't recognize.
There were some new folks there.
And it was new faces from new businesses. And while I may have known 1 or 2 at the table, I also saw 4 or 5 at the table that I thought, I'm not sure who they are. But they were with some of these new businesses that have come to town and wanted to participate and be involved. So it's really nice when our new businesses come to town and immediately want to be part of the community.
Sure,
you know,
absolutely.
and contribute. And so Grangus has become a platinum sponsor for our Downtown Summer Series, even though they're a new company. Delta Medical Cannabis Companies have become a gold sponsor of our Downtown Series. And they all just come in and immediately from day one, they want to hit the ground running and they want to be part. When we went out and visited with Susan at Grangus and we're talking about sponsorship of the events downtown, she said, yeah, that would be great for our employees. That's how she approached it, that the employees that they hire are looking for something that's a quality of life thing, and so they want to support what makes the quality of life of their employees better. And that's the kind of companies you need coming in. It's great and refreshing to not only see the job development, but to see that these companies are coming in and wanting to be a big part of the community.
Well, big things happen. We always talk about it, and each and every month I'm sometimes in awe, when you get the information of what we're doing and what direction we're going. It excites me to be a part of Newport, Arkansas. I'm here for a long, long time, aren't you, my friend?
I am, indeed.
John Chadwell, NEDC, and we appreciate his time. Let's continue on with more of our show. WRMC Medical Complex in Newport, and we're going to introduce to you today Will Moore. Good to see you, my friend.
It's nice to see you too.
A
Thank you very
Batesville,
much.
Arkansas guy, a Batesville
That's correct.
pioneer,
That's right.
and came back home. But let's talk a little bit about you, APRN, Batesville Cardiology at WRMC up there, but comes to Newport at the WRMC Medical Complex the last Tuesday in every month. But I want to find out a little bit about you. Tell us about Will Moore.
Well, I was born and raised in Batesville, Arkansas, and graduated there in 1996. Played a little basketball against the Greyhounds over here in
Yes, sir.
7th and 8th grade. I can't remember who won or lost those games. We were just talking about that. We had a good time, real competitive. And went to the University of Arkansas for several years and got some undergraduate studies. Found myself back in Batesville going to nursing school, and did that, and then went on to get my master's degree in Tennessee.
Well, we're going to talk a lot of things about cardiology, and February being, we're talking about heart health and the things that it takes to make us healthy. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And Will, some of the things that are so important, everybody's concerned about their heart. And heart health has changed over the years. Talk a little bit about some of those changes, and then we'll get into talking about the apps and the wearables. But talk a little bit about the change in itself.
That makes a good point. We've seen kind of a transition over time to where we're really focused in on our cholesterol and our blood pressure and our activity levels, and over time it's just really honed in on meeting those goals, meeting those cholesterol goals, meeting our activity goals, meeting those weight goals and parameters, and those things may be a little bit on one side or the other, but we have these kind of standards that we meet when it comes to tobacco and modifiable risk factors when it comes to heart disease. So many of the things that we can change on our own, and they calculate to a cardiac risk.
Sure.
And so we've kind of really honed in on focusing in on 4 or 5 things that put us at risk that we can change, and it kind of falls under the category of my role, or your primary doctor's role, or your cardiologist's role, to really work with these risk factors and make some moves to reduce your risk for having an event, heart attack, stroke, or other problems like heart failure.
Well, and you talk about those risks, and what we try to do is we're trying to prevent heart disease with those risks, knowing what those risks are.
Absolutely.
Once you identify the risk, then you've got a plan.
Absolutely.
And we have a plan that's a little bit different today when you start talking about these apps and these wearables. So let's get into that and talk about some of the things, information that we have that's at our fingertips.
Yes. So we've got a lot of technology today. As things have really boomed with the apps. We say there's an app for that.
Right.
Just about
Absolutely.
everything. Now, so we've got some apps and some wearables that'll help us keep track of things, help keep us motivated, and to meet our goals when it comes to nutrition and exercise. A couple examples, I'm not endorsing any specific product, but we've got a couple of good examples of MyFitnessPal. This is something that we can download on our smartphones, and to may go in with our wearables, where it may be a Fitbit or an Apple Watch or another piece of technology. But these will help calculate, your caloric needs, whether it's your protein, salt, sugars, fats, and really you can even scan some of these things in by using your phone and just capturing that barcode, and it populates what's exactly in that food.
Sure.
Two, it helps us keep up with our exercise. That caloric, intake versus output. How much are we burning? How much are we putting in? What's our weight loss goals? So, that's one way to do it.
Well, you talk about their Apple Watches, Fitbits, and things, and kind of explain what those devices are, how they work. Somebody my age might go, I'm not really sure what that does and how that calculates, but to the younger generation, everybody knows, but those of us who are anybody could be in the heart age as such, but kind of explain what all that stuff is.
So, there's nothing that, as far as what's going to be beneficial to us than something like a pen and paper and recording this information and then to having it where we can visualize it. If we don't really record it, we don't know what's happening.
Sure.
So, if we can demonstrate that in a way that's obtainable and that we can interpret, then we can see results over time or track some of the things that we may can improve on. So, if we just had a pen and paper out, this is the same as what we're going to collect on this data on the watch, except it's like having a secretary already built in for us on this app potentially, and it makes things a little bit simpler. So with that, we can use this technology and maybe make some real progress for ourselves.
When we talk about heart and cardiology, and the one thing that I think of all the time is that you talk to the cardiologist and say, well, you need to exercise more, and of course that's part of it. I mean, if you exercise more, you're supposed to be healthier. But and these devices can record the steps that you take and how much exercise you're getting. And when the cardiologist asks, how much exercise have you been getting? And you go, well, I walked up and down the stairs twice and around the house, but you can actually record that information and have it handy.
Exactly. So a lot of the wearables and even the apps on your phone and the smartphones will record your steps, and 10,000 steps a day is kind of a goal for healthy living and healthy heart health.
Yeah.
So being able to track that with a wearable or the app on your phone is extremely beneficial.
Well, there's no doubt that the technology has changed, and we talked about it here today. And I got to ask you this before we get off here, and I always ask when I visit with people in the medical profession, in the health field, why did you choose cardiology? Why did you choose medicine, number one, and then cardiology more specifically, number two?
So, just as far as my strengths and just being raised here in the South and in a rural area, I grew up, hunting and fishing. And, you kind of learn about biology and the environment. And I think it's made my math and sciences a lot easier.
Right.
And so, just looking at the anatomy of an animal just translate into our own anatomy.
Sure.
And so I've always just been really active too. I love sports. I love just any outdoor activity. So just being, kind of an athlete, I would say I like to put myself in that category, but I'm not as competitive as I was when I was younger. But just trying to stay active and being heart healthy I found myself in cardiology.
Who do you work with in Batesville?
I work with a very seasoned cardiologist, 30 plus years in the business, Dr. Rick Van Grau, and I consider myself an extension of him when I'm here. And so if you're needing any help, we're here for that on last Tuesday of the month.
Last Tuesday of the month, and that's the day we record because we caught him here at WRMC Medical Complex in Newport. But we welcome you to Newport, Arkansas, and I know that you're doing a fantastic job. Annie has said it's just you're marvelous, and I know the folks in Batesville are glad to have you home, and we welcome you to your one day a month.
We work with a good team, so thank you.
No doubt about it.
We're here today.
WRMC Medical Complex in Newport. Call us when you need us. It's the Gavin McDowell comedy segment of our program coming right up.
We get equal billing. I mean, it's like Abbott and Costello.
Oh, it's the Gavin McDowell.
It's the Elmer
David
Fudd Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Hello, testing 1, 2, 3.
Is this thing on?
Is the microphone on? Testing 1, 2, 3. Customized vision care in the Newport Village Mall.
That was the shortest one ever.
That's us, brother. Hey, congratulations to Customized Vision Care. Was honored by the Newport Area Chamber of Commerce as the Small Business Award winner, which is a prestigious honor.
Very.
We have a plaque. Go right ahead, sir. Go right ahead. We have a plaque to show, to demonstrate. If we might, can we come in on that a little bit? You don't have to if we don't have to.
My best Vanna White.
I was going to read it, but I can't. So I'll let you.
This is an eye business. We have to pretend you can see that. I'll tell you what it is. It says Customized Vision Care.
What'd y'all do?
It's Small Business of the Year is what it is. That's awesome.
It is awesome. Congratulations. It's well deserved.
Thank you.
You have a great staff here.
I do, and I would not. That has nothing. That is not me. That is us collectively.
Without a staff, and honestly, fairly, assuredly, talk a little bit about the staff.
Did you get a thesaurus?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did. Some of those words you were throwing a month or so ago at me, I said, man, I got to keep up right here. I got to do better. You were throwing stuff that went, shoo! And I went, what did he say? And then Brandon said something a while ago, and I said, what did he say? It's just because I couldn't hear him.
That's right. That's totally different.
Talk a little bit about your staff. Talk a little bit about it.
Well, I mean, I'll put it this way. There's a saying in most Indian industry, I bet you, but in ours specifically, a great staff can make up for a really crappy doctor. So there we are.
Well, I don't believe it.
No, really,
and it came from his mouth.
You know what? I'll take no credit to the success we have. It is full on a team effort. I can't do it without them. I hope they can't do it without me. And I really try to surround myself with people that not only, they have first and foremost, they have to get my sense of humor. And
Sure.
If they can't operate around that, they're not going to really fit in. But realistically, I try to find people that I know will give the patients what I want them to have, which is just not only an experience that they feel like they're getting the full care, which they are, but also they feel like they're family. You know,
Sure.
It's really just we are not standoffish. We are going to get all up in your business, and you'll know probably more information about us than you ever wanted. But
I have found that to be true over the years. Yes, I have found that to be true, and I've got the scoop. I've got the scoop. A process when you walk in, and when you call, you schedule an appointment, and when you walk in this door, there's a process, and you work from the here to the back.
You're gonna see everybody. You're gonna get a not necessarily hands-on by everybody, but you're gonna touch base with everybody in this office, whether it be checking in, running through insurances, working with the technicians being worked up, knowing, basically getting me set up where I can make your exam go much quicker because, I could easily do this. I could easily do a lot of the things, easily, that sounds so bad. I could do some of these things that the technicians are doing for me, but it would make the patient's exam time so much longer.
Sure, take all day.
We try to be efficient but thorough.
Well, I do know that of all the times I come here, and I cannot believe anybody would go anywhere else. You sit right over there for your appointment time. You get here a few minutes early. You're on time. You get in there. You go from this office to that office to your office, and then you're in there, and then you're working. You work on me the way those folks have worked up the details of what needs to be seen and and they do a marvelous job. I mean, second to none. And I've been to several. I've been to several down through the years, and even over the course of being referred out to other places from time to time. And I say, I come back to Gavin McDowell's place, and it's the most professional. It's the best place I've ever been.
The most professional. I
think maybe because I would fit in working here.
Right.
I would be the guy that would fit in, and like your staff does, because I'm the joker, and I like that.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. And I have been in those down through the years when you walk in, nobody's talking, everybody's scared to death to say hello.
You guarantee that their underwear is starched.
Yes, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. We want to talk about some Made in America stuff.
Yes.
Made in America.
We have a new line. It's called Alan J. It's Alan J Collection. It's all Made in America frames. I really do try to bring in notable lines. Like we have Oakley, we have Ray-Ban, we have Crocs, we have Coach, we have all these other brands, but all those are owned by a company called Luxottica, and it's based out of Italy. Now, even though Ray-Ban is an American icon brand, the manufacturing is not really here in the United States anymore. So we've, through the years, tried to pepper in some, USA-made products, and I don't feel comfortable not having something in here that gives people that option.
May I do my Alan J radio disc jockey?
Yes.
Alan J sunglasses. Oh, Alan. Excuse me. Cut.
We'll take that out in editing.
Alan J Made in America right here at WMPS Radio 68 Gold, Memphis, Tennessee, downtown. 78 degrees in a clear sky. Music up next by Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes.
Who?
Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Harold Bevan.
No, Harold Melvin.
Melvin.
Yeah. Teddy Pendergrass used to be the lead singer for Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Don't ask me why. You know who he replaced?
Who's that?
Harold Melvin. And they didn't change it to Teddy Pendergrass and the Blue Notes. But anyway, listen, you guys are super. Your staff's super. I'm thankful that I have a place in Newport, Arkansas that I can go and have my eyes professionally checked. And it's that time of year before we get out here, I want to talk about sunglasses. Grant Black
Yes.
the other day says, I need a pair of sunglasses. I need a pair of glasses, but they kind of got to be sunglasses. I want to pitch out of them. I'm pitching this coming. I want to need some glasses, but you reckon I can do some Oakleys that way? I want to be stylish too. And I said, well, sure. Make you stylish. You
Yeah.
can make somebody stylish.
Absolutely. Well, even you.
Yeah.
We and me.
Well, you've had a
for that
long road to do it, but I feel pretty good about it. Thank you, Doc. Thank you so much.
Yeah. There's. It depends on what you want to do with them, but yeah, we can definitely find something that's stylish and functional. The reason I say what you want to do with them because there are certain, somebody who's a golfer, an avid golfer comes in here and I want really dark frames. Well, if you want the sunglasses to improve your game, we need to go with like a greenish tint because there is science behind why lens colors are the way they are.
Really?
Yep.
And some of that scientific knowledge is, like you say, green is better for golfing?
Green's better for golfing. And a
Gives you
red or
what?
amber lens, well, it helps you track the ball, especially in a green background.
Really?
And then, like with baseball, red or amber lenses will help you pick up the seams a little bit
Okay.
quicker.
Yeah,
So
color.
that way you can tell what's the rotation on the ball and all that stuff.
Cool. That's scientific knowledge right there.
I know.
Did you write the book?
I did not write it.
Did you do the research?
I edited it. Yes.
You took out the bad stuff?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Somebody wrote it. You go, that's not right. We can't use that. But it's that time of year. Anytime's a good
Yeah.
time of year to talk about sunglasses and get sunglasses. Y'all have got a huge selection here, and people get them all the time. Why not get them right here?
Exactly.
And then,
Don't have to go to Sunglass Hut.
No,
And
you
as a matter of
don't.
fact, if you find something you want through the lines that we carry, if I don't have it in stock, I can have it here PDQ. So, yeah.
Does that mean quickly?
That means really quick. Yeah.
Does it really? PD.
Pretty darn quick.
Oh, PDQ. That's pretty quick,
How
isn't
do
it?
you not know that acronym?
I don't know. I'm just old, Doc.
Yeah, well.
62 years old, Social Security, life's tough.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh, no.
Oh, no?
No. I got one more thing I do want to talk
Okay.
about. I'm sorry. Recently, the city of Newport
Yes, sir.
and a lot of the other industries here have changed over their vision plans to a company called iMed.
Okay.
Now, we used to take iMed back in the day. What do you want?
I want that stuff right there. Give me that.
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt your story, but go ahead.
Anyway, we stopped taking iMed some years ago because the reimbursement it's horrible, and it's still not good.
Okay.
But the city, the government of Newport, as well as the prison facility and a couple other places, have changed over to iMed. So I'm crawling back into the pits with the devil, and we're now on panel with iMed again.
Congratulations.
I would love to say I'm really excited about it. I'm not.
Okay.
But hey, what it is, I don't want our locals to have to. The closest provider for iMed is in Bald Knob,
Okay.
so I didn't want to have our locals having to drive in that far. So we're back on tier.
Okay. Now, is congratulations in order, or should I just?
Oh, yeah, I mean, no.
Should I move on to the next
No.
subject?
It's not against my will per se, but it's realistically it's not. I hate to say that. I mean, my goal is providing the best patient care possible. Sure. There are some vision and medical insurances that tie my hands to say this is all you can do. This is it, and anything above and beyond that is not considered medically necessary or visually necessary.
Gotcha.
And so I don't subscribe to that school of thought. My care is based upon patient per patient need. So you may require a whole lot more care than Joe Blow off the street who I just need a quick vision check. They expect me to do the exact same thing for you as I would for Joe Blow.
Okay, I got you.
And
A lot of that's wasted.
yeah, exactly. They feel it's not necessary.
Well, anyway, what the man is trying to tell you is this: not only no matter what you need, you're going to get more at customized vision care just because it's Gavin McDowell and his staff, like we started the show with.
Yeah.
I was going to
That was a
shake,
great
and I wasn't going to
callback.
shake.
You
but
did really
I
good.
did good, and I did real well.
You did really well.
And but I was going to say the Germex because we have a Germex. Do you want me to squirt this on before we shake hands, or should I do that afterwards?
I would suggest afterwards. You got flu going around the city.
That's what I
That's
heard.
Crazy.
That's what I heard. Gavin McDowell, my good friend, if you need some help with your eyes, come right here. We're in downtown, not downtown Newport. We're actually in the Village Mall in Newport.
Yes.
Been here a long time. Going to be here a long time after this. Come see us. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the February edition of the Farmers Supply Association Agriculture Report. I'm Randy Klepechka, agronomist with Farmers Supply Association. Well, the pattern continues. You know, we've talked about this month after month. The wet pattern we've been in. January, we had about 4 inches of rain and about 14 days where we had actually some rainfall. And, you know, it's kind of the pattern we've been in. You know, not excessive rainfall. You know, our rivers have stayed mostly in the banks up till now. So, you know, it hadn't been a lot of heavy rain. It's just been chronically wet, you know, with a lot of rain days every month and just, you know, not able to get in the field and get anything done. So that's kind of still where we're at. You know, same song about the 6th verse already. I guess it's about September. But anyway, we're still there. You know, February's here now, so it's time to get serious about the next crop. And we're you know, that's upon us here real quick. So this month I want to talk about a couple of different things. I want to talk about wheat fertilization and also talk some about burn down herbicide applications. Now, some of you are probably out there saying, well, why is he talking about either one of those things? You know, there's no wheat out there, and there's, you know, we got all our fields rutted up, so, you know, burn down applications aren't going to be a player this spring. But that's really not the case. Certainly not everywhere. You know, there is some wheat out there. We're taping, I guess, on February the 6th. I've already had 2 calls this week on wheat fertilization, so there's wheat out there. And for the people that have wheat, it's pretty important to them. So, you know, we need to talk about that. On the burn down side, you know, there's people out there saying, well, you know, it stayed wet all fall. We harvested everything wet. We're all rutted up. There's not going to be any need for burn down applications. But, you know, there's some instances where we're going to use burn down applications. You know, I just thought of 3 real quick. You know, there's some fields that aren't rutted that you can no-till if you want to no-till. So we've got some of those. Not that many. I mean, most fields are rutted, but we do have some of those. You know, in some cases, if it stays wet like this and this vegetation, this winter vegetation keeps growing, we're going to probably want to make some burn down applications, just try to keep that vegetation held back a little bit, make it more manageable where it can dry out and we can till it when the time comes. So that's another situation. And then some of these fields, hopefully, we'll get in early enough to get some fields, you know, worked up and smoothed down, floated down, and where we can stay on seed bed them. And that's going to be, you know, later on, we're going to need some burn down applications for those types of fields. So, you know, several situations where we're still going to be thinking about burn down herbicide applications this spring, hopefully. So, you know, that's why I chose those 2 things to talk about this month. First, wheat fertilization. You know, the timing of wheat fertilization, to me, should be based always, at least the starting of wheat fertilization, on how far along that wheat crop is. You know, if you got your wheat planted early, you know, early October, and it came up good, and it's tillered out, and, you know, tillered out well, and looks good out there right now, you don't have to be in a big hurry to get that first application out there. You know, you can really wait till later in February and still, you know, be fine and not lose anything from that. So, you know, in those cases, we can buy some time and maybe get some better field situations to apply our fertilizer. But in those fields that were planted maybe later in the season, maybe into November when they got planted, you know, it's hard to getting a good stand, and, you know, they haven't tillered out very well. They're kind of, you know, maybe spotty out there right now. In those cases, if you're keeping that wheat, you need to get some fertilizer out there pretty quick to get some tillering stimulated. You know, if they're thin especially, we've got to have tillers out there to make bushels. So we've got to get some, the way you stimulate tillering is get some nitrogen out there. So we're going to have to do that in these fields real quickly in order to get started. And I think there has been some wheat fertilized already this week, you know, in situations like that. Looking at our total nitrogen recommendations, generally 120 units for most of our wheat that's grown on typical wheat ground, you know, the sandy and sandy loam soils. Generally about 120 units is going to take care of you there. On those sandy soils, We definitely need sulfur, you know, especially in our area in Jackson County and in the Tuckerman, Swifton areas up there where they've got a lot of sandy soils, and there's some other areas as well that have sandy soils. I think we really need to make sure we get that sulfur out there. We're generally looking at 2 applications of the nitrogen, at least 2. Sulfur, you know, the general recommendation is 1 application of sulfur, but I've seen on some of these sandy fields that, you know, especially if it's a wet spring where we really like to have those applications split. You know, sulfur is real readily mobile and leachable in the soil, so if we have a rainy spring, 1 application is usually not going to get you. So, you know, I like splitting both of them. Split my nitrogen with a little more than half in that first shot. Sulfur, you know, also split those applications generally as well. That second nitrogen shot needs to be out there by the time the internodes are joining stage of the weed, so keep that in mind. So, you know, generally 2 shots, but on these fields like I talked about earlier, where we've already got fertilizer out there and started really early, and it stays wet, we may be looking at 3 shots on some of those fields. So generally I like 2 shots, but you know, there's some situations where 3 shots might be beneficial as well. So that's where we're at with wheat fertilization, and you know, hopefully on that small acreage we've got, we can go to work and make a good crop on it. Next, I want to move down to the burn down situation. I talked about the situations where we're probably going to need burn down this year, even though we may not be thinking about it. You know, a typical burn down in a normal year would be a 2 or 3-way application. You know, most people are going to have Roundup as the base for that burn down application. Need to add something like a 2,4-D, a dicamba, a first shot, or sharpen, something like that to enhance broadleaf weed control. And then sometimes people will make that a 3-way shot by putting some type of residual like a Valor or a Valor containing product in there with that to, you know, keep things from coming up. So that's kind of the typical burn down. But as I said, you know, this year may not be typical, because we're going to have to till most of these fields, so people may not want to go that far on 1 application of burn down. They may just want to put a Roundup shot out there and try to keep it beat back where it's more manageable. But I just want to remind you that Roundup is not the answer on some of these weeds. You know, there's a few weeds out there where Roundup's just not very good on it, and we really need to add that second additive to enhance the weed control on some of these broadleaf weeds. First, obviously, horseweed. You know, pretty much all the horseweed is resistant to Roundup, so Roundup's not going to touch a horseweed in most cases, so we need to add something like a 2,4-D, a dicamba, or a sharpen with that Roundup to make that, you know, much more effective on your horseweed. Another one that we talk about is ryegrass. You know, not all ryegrass is resistant to Roundup, but even if it's not, Roundup is just not that strong on ryegrass, so we really need something in there with that Roundup to enhance that. You know, Select is a good choice on ryegrass. If you can get it out there pretty early, I mean, if you got small ryegrass, the Select can be pretty effective. Select is not a good salvage herbicide for ryegrass. Another option would be paraquat, and you need to put some one of the PS2 inhibitor herbicides in there with the paraquat. And pretty much anytime we're using herbicide, if we can use one of those PS2 inhibitors, it really enhances the paraquat activity. You know, a lot of people say, well, I don't like paraquat, it just gives you burn and things grow out, and you know, the weeds grow out of it. A lot of times that is true, but if you put one of these PS2 inhibitors in there, it helps get that Roundup that paraquat into the plant, and it's much more effective. When we talk about the PS2 inhibitors, if you're going to plant soybeans, metribuzin is a PS2 inhibitor that you can use. If you're going to plant corn or milo, then atrazine is a PS2 inhibitor, and you can use that in front of milo or corn. Not much cotton around here, but if you have cotton, then Direx would be the PS2 inhibitor you could add to paraquat to enhance its activity. So that really makes a difference. And again, that's talking about ryegrass there. Select or paraquat plus a PS2 inhibitor. Some winter annual weeds, winter junk weeds we call them sometimes. You know, Roundup's got decent activity on some of these, but sometimes you just want a little enhancement to make it better. Buttercup, cutleaf evening primrose, henbit, dock, Carolina geranium, all those weeds, you know, Roundup's rated in that 6 to 7 at best range, so that's, you know, it's got activity, but it could be better. And we can always add something like a 2,4-D, again, a dicamba, or first shot, or a sharpen in there with the Roundup and enhance our activity on those weeds. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Wheat fertilization already started. You know, we're still a little time probably before we get into the burn down, you know, time frame, but we'll be there before you know it. So one other thing, always keep in mind your plant backs on some of these burn down herbicides, depending on what crop you're going to plant following that. You know, we need to know our plant back, that way you know if we got time to use that and still for that herbicide to be gone and not affect that planted crop out there. So that's kind of where we're at now. Maybe we'll break this pattern by March. I've been saying that every month, and maybe we'll be getting into the field and doing some things when I take my March program. This has been Randy Klepechka with your Farmers Supply Association Agriculture Report for February.
This is my good friend Jay Cox. Jay Cox from St. Michael's Place. It's always my pleasure. Good to see you.
Good to see you. How you doing today?
Solid as a rock, man. We were talking about rainstorms when we filmed on a Thursday, and it rained on Tuesday, and it rained on Wednesday, it rained on Thursday. Is it gonna rain today? Fishing's out because it's just there's too much rain, but boy, we got a lot going on at St. Michael's.
Dripping wet when you came in.
We were, weren't we? Just soaked. It was out there. How's Jay Cox?
I'm doing good.
Good. Been under the weather a little bit.
A little bit, but doing better now.
Good deal.
Yes,
good deal. So, but you missed some time here a couple of days.
I did, but back at it now.
So we've got some things that we want to talk about at St. Michael's Place. We want to talk about St. Michael's in general. Specifically, though, got a little party coming up.
We do. This is Valentine's month, and time to show some love.
Yes,
time to show
yes,
some
sir.
Love. And we have a Valentine's party coming up on the 14th of February, and everybody's invited to come out. We're going to have a King and Queen celebration. We're going to crown 2 of our residents a special. We have a special selection process, and there's going to be voting going on, and we're going to have music, and we're going to have all kinds of treats and things, and music and fun, and just going to have a good time. And we want all the families to come out and just celebrate with your loved one, your family, and even the public come out. And it'd be a good time to come out and see what's going on at St. Michael's Place. And you know, we have a lot of fun with our residents, and this is one of the highlights that they look forward to each year, and kind of gives them a good time to put a crown on, you know, and dress up and just have a good time.
Now, time-wise, is there a time frame? 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
2 till whenever, till we get finished.
Till we get done.
Till we get done.
Just party hard, you know.
It's my experience and our experience together that on Valentine's parties, I mean, it's a tremendous event, not only for the residents, but for the employees. Of this, and for the families that do come, it's a big event.
Well, you know, one of the things we get to see a lot of the times when you know, that they go through here. You know, we see the good times, the bad times, the hard times, but to see the smile on their face, you know, that just makes it worth it. You know, and when we are with them day in and day out, but the look on their face, and you know, they're not just coming down to the party. I mean, many of our residents will dress up for the occasion. You know, they'll get their hair done down at our beauty shop. Sure. You know, many people don't realize we have an in-house beauty shop for our residents, and just like many ladies, I know my grandmother still holds a tradition. Every Friday she gets her hair done at the beauty shop.
Absolutely.
And many of the residents here, just as they did when they lived, you know, out in the community, they get their hair done every week. Just
my mom did. Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing's changed. You know, tradition's tradition. And
yeah,
so,
that's right.
They get their hair done at the beauty shop. Well, this party's not going to be any different. They're going to get that hair done up, get their makeup done, and the fellas are going to be dressed up nice, and going to have some music playing. It's going to be a good fun time. You know, every now and then you just got to lay aside the worries and the cares and everything that's going on, and just have fun.
Well, you know, in the world we live in, the seriousness of the world and the seriousness of where we are at St. Michael's Place, and the seriousness of the care and the rehab that we have here at St. Michael's Place, and it's always fun to let your hair down a little bit. You talk about going to the beauty shop, let your hair down a little bit this time, and let's have a little fun.
That's
and
right.
I know that the residents certainly look forward to it, and I know you do. I know you enjoy that.
We do, and And here at St. Michael's Place, we have a good, caring staff, and like I said, and we've talked a lot about in the last few weeks about the team.
Absolutely.
We still have a good team. Now, we are hiring, and all shifts we're hiring. We need PRN nurses. I know there's an ad running right now, and so if you're a LPN, RN, we'd like you to come fill out an application. CNAs, all shifts actually, we'd like you to come fill out an application for that. And so if you're looking for a job, we're one of the better paying facilities in this area, so come fill out an application, work for us. And we have plenty of room on staff, so you know, we're a strong team, strong facility. We care for our residents. We love our residents. They're like family to us, and so we like to encourage you. If you're looking for work, this is a good place to work, and we'd like to have you on board.
And we'd also like to encourage those who might need our services to call or come by or visit with us, send us an email, or just come look at our facility and sit down with the staff here, get to know some of the people here. If you think you might need our services, we would certainly recommend you coming to see us to talk about what we could provide for you.
Right, and part of what I do, David, is I give tours of the facility, and I would be more than happy, you know, if you have a loved one or a family member that is possibly reaching that time of life where they may need long-term care, I'd love to come show you around the facility. We have not only short-term rehab. If you come in for short-term rehab, you're going to get a private room that's on right there close to to the therapy gym where the therapists are. If we have long-term care units that are spaced throughout the facility, I can show you different rooms, different areas. I can show you, you know, all the layout of the facility. Also, if you have a loved one that has been diagnosed with dementia or Alzheimer's, we have a secure unit. And matter of fact, we're the only facility in Jackson County that has a secure unit. And so that actually sets us apart from the other facility in Jackson County that has a secure unit. And we have specialized in dementia training. So come and let us show you that facility. Let us show you the activities that we do. Come and watch some of our activities that we do with them. Our residents are not just, you know, sitting here, you know, in doom and gloom.
They're busy. They're busy.
They're having a good time. And this Valentine's party will show you just how good of a time we're having. So let me show you around. It's not a depressing place, I promise you. Every day around here is full of life.
So if you're not doing anything on February the 14th at 2 o'clock, come join us at St. Michael's Place, and I promise you, you'll have a good time too, as we're going to have a good time also. Jay Cox, my friend, good to see you. It's always my pleasure. Well, hello again, everybody. It's time for Let's Talk Sports with Bud Black, brought to you by the Bank of England Mortgage Company at the Newport Village Mall. Kenny Thaxton and Sally Long, such professional people to help you with the lending process. If you need a home loan, if you're thinking about refinancing your home, it's the place to go. Done several of those with Kenny down through the years, and our family has. Just good people to do business with. They take care of you. They do it in a timely fashion. They'd love the opportunity to talk to you about if you're going to buy a home, and they can try to help you get a loan. They'll get it done for you. The Bank of England Mortgage Company, member FDIC, an equal housing lender at the Newport Village Mall. National Signing Day came and went, and a little flair around Newport. We had several kids that signed letters of intent, including Alex Emery, who signed a football scholarship to Arkansas Tech University, the Wonder Boys over in Russellville. We also had Julius Clark, who signed with Southern Arkansas University down in Magnolia, the Mule Riders. Cash Forster elected to go the baseball route. Great quarterback. Cash had a chance or a choice to pick between football and baseball, and he chose baseball, and he's going to be pitching and playing at Williams Baptist up in Walnut Ridge. And also Lucky Loftus signed several months ago with Crowley's Ridge, a baseball letter over in Paragould. Newport boys recently had a big upset of Ball Knob at Ball Knob. Their basketball team is playing real well right now. Girls are playing well. Also, the Tuckerman boys and girls. District tournament time just around the corner. It's an exciting time of year for high school basketball. On the college hoop scene, ASU went down and defeated their in-state rival University of Arkansas at Little Rock. And the Arkansas Razorbacks had a big win at LSU. It's tough to win on the road in college basketball, and ASU and both Arkansas with big wins this past week. I want to talk a little bit about Tom Brady. I want to talk a little bit about Bill Belichick, and I want to talk a little bit about the New England Patriots. Love them or hate them, those guys are just tremendous. For Tom Brady, year in, year out, to keep leading his team, which is usually a group of different guys every year, what a job those guys do of getting themselves in a position to win Super Bowls. And not only a position to win them, but in winning them. They do a marvelous job, and my hat's off to the New England Patriots. Want to talk a little bit about Grant Black. Grant Black currently is in a minor league baseball camp down in Tampa. He's getting ready for the coming year. He has an opportunity to go back to Sauget, Illinois, and pitch for the Gateway Grizzlies. He would certainly like to do well in this camp, and he's got a couple other things coming up. He's got a chance to throw in front of a couple of major league organizations, and hopefully that he can get contracted with one of those guys. But if not, he'll be more than happy to go back and pitch for the Gateway Grizzlies for another year up in Sauget. That's it for sports. For the Bank of England Mortgage Company, I'm David Black. Until next time, so long, everybody. Unity Health Harris Medical Center in Newport, McLean Street. Want to introduce to you Dr. Ian Parker to the program, and welcome, my friend.
Thank you, thank you.
I had a great visit with Dr. Parker, prior to us getting on the air, and I want to get to some of the information that we talked about. But first of all, a guy from Vermont up in the northeastern part of the United States, and joins us in Newport, Arkansas. I'm glad you're here, sir. Welcome to Arkansas.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about you, and want to talk a little bit about your training, where you grew up, and schooling, college, and educational training. Tell us a little bit about Dr. Parker.
Okay, well, I was actually born in Maryland, and I've come from a military family, although my father wasn't active or reservist at the time, but we moved around a lot. When I was 8, we left Maryland and moved up towards the north in New England and Maine and Vermont area in New York State. But we lived in a lot of places. I lived in a lot of places, mostly Vermont, Canada, Maine, etc. But done a lot of traveling, got to mostly with my mom and things like that. So.
Tell me about college. Tell me about college and medical school. Where'd you get all your training?
Well, I started off my college in Maine, at Bates College, and then later on my father suggested it would be cheaper actually go to a state school where he was living in New York State. Cornell University actually had the agricultural program in Ithaca, New York, and actually, funny thing is, because I also do pig farming, and some of the original texts in pig feeding sciences were written actually at my alma mater, which I later on found. I just recently found out. Is that right? From the Cornell Agriculture and Life Sciences program, way back in I think it was in the 60s. Okay. When they wrote some of the textbooks on premier textbooks on livestock feeding. And so I finished my studies there in sort of bioorganic chemistry and genetics, and then started my life after.
And then here we are today.
Yeah.
I'll get into your.
It's been a long road, but I think it was worth it.
You bet. Yeah.
Why
a doctor? Where along the way did you decide that I want to be a doctor?
Well, my mom actually, I think, always wanted me to be a doctor. But I was more interested in the research sciences when I was younger, and but through the research sciences, doing a lot of later on doing a lot of work with cancer models and genetic manipulation of mice and other organisms,
Right,
et cetera, for cancer studies, and working in a human genetics department, which sort of brought cancer closer to sort of a patient involvement level, and understanding more of the human aspect of all this research and where was it going and what was it doing on a personal level. For instance, even my mom later would develop a leukemia, and things like that sort of changed my perspective as I was getting older in life as to what was the relevance of all this study and all this knowledge of the medicine and the molecular aspect of these diseases, studying the pathophysiology, where was it all going and how was it being used actually to help someone.
Right.
A person.
You bet.
Or many people on a personal level. So as she became sick and my studies started turning more and more to my options to how can I help her and how can I help other people with this knowledge base, and I became more interested in how you could apply these, for instance, all this genetics and cancer study to actually helping someone live longer, even if it's another year, would spend with their family and to be here on Earth. I thought it was much more worth it than just staying in the laboratory all the time. And also, as I got older, I became more of a people person and less introverted and more interested in my community and things like that, which pushed me more towards medicine.
Interesting.
And how I could help people with that, with those scientific applications to actually have a healthier, happier existence while you're here on the planet.
Let's talk a little bit, Doc, about the title on the door says DO. Tell us what DO means and tell us kind of some expertise of what you're trained in and what we're trying to do here at Unity Health and Harris Medical Center.
Okay, well, DO is basically any doctor. The difference between who studied in osteopathic philosophy or osteopathic medical school, although medical doctor we consider allopathic medicine and DO osteopathic medicine, they actually marketed this distinction of or copywrote that MD for the allopathics because they've always been at least 80% of the market. DOs traditionally have been at least 10 to 20% of the practicing physicians in the United States. DOs were founded by Andrew Taylor Still, who was actually a Missourian, son of a preacher, a very spiritual and religious person, who was an MD himself, and in the late 1800s, after suffering the effects of scarlet fever in his family, 3 of 5 of his children died, unfortunately, and he was sort of disappointed in the limitations of allopathic medicine at the time, so he felt that he could start a movement in medicine which was more preventative based and more holistic based, in other words, integrated approach, which they teach now in allopathic schools included, that would be better off for the patient. And so he was a brilliant man. He came in, he was living at around the same time as all these other geniuses, for instance, you know, a little bit before Tesla, but also a lot of other people at this time in the late 1800s. And he invented these techniques called osteopathic manipulative therapy, or OMT, or osteopathic manipulation, which basically became the foundation of all manipulations in the world, including those practiced by physical therapists, chiropractors, massage therapists, anyone who does manual techniques. They're usually found a basis in osteopathic manipulation, which was founded by Andrew Taylor Still, the first DO.
Right, okay.
And so what he wanted to do was use these hands-on techniques to help people stay healthier by freeing the restrictions they have in the body, because his theory about energies and also blood flow, lymphatic system, nervous system, these are all tissues, and when there are restrictions in tissues, you get stasis, and with stasis comes disease, or vice versa. And so in a lot of these situations, for instance, the first studies were done in the 1920s in the hospital during the flu epidemic, and they noticed that people who were receiving manipulations, the OMT in the hospital, got out faster from pneumonia at the time, because again, you're dealing with freeing restrictions, lymphatic flow, getting rid of many of the lactic acids, et cetera, that builds up the toxins in the system, getting better lymphatic flow, getting better respiration, and by using, for instance, manual techniques to treat rib dysfunctions and diaphragm dysfunctions, et cetera, all help the person to be healthier,
right,
and to heal better, and to get out of the hospital faster.
Yeah, there you go.
So his OMT techniques that he teaches all medical students in any DO learns these techniques or introduced to these techniques when they go to medical school.
Right.
So we learn all of the other academic information, but in addition, we get extra training in the OMT techniques.
Right.
So we can use these as an option. Unfortunately, most DOs do not specialize in the OMT techniques or even use them when they graduate. They pursue fields such as cardiology, obstetrics, plastic surgery, or neurosurgery, radiology. So they don't really get a chance to use them, but there are a good number of primary care physicians who still use the techniques, and also people such as myself who are OMT specialists, or in the modern term is neuromusculoskeletal medicine, where there's more of a neurological based emphasis on training with the musculoskeletal diseases and things that are going on, where we get extra training in residency after medical school, just in the techniques.
Right.
And for instance, my program was an integrated program, one of 7 in the country, in family medicine and neuromusculoskeletal medicine. And it was a 4-year residency program after medical school. Most family practitioners only go for 3 years in residency, but my training was 4 to 5.
Right.
Because it included the integration of the neuromusculoskeletal training. And with this, we got extensive training in hospitals, we were often consulted by surgical teams to treat their patients post-surgery, because they realized that the techniques used at freeing the body of restriction would help things like constipation, for instance, after bowel surgery.
Things that you wouldn't normally think.
With back pain, with tissue restriction, even for post-hip replacement or post-knee replacement. And these treatments can help, for instance, with getting the patient out of the hospital faster and recovering quicker. But we also did a lot of training in the OB-GYN ward, because as you know, moms often suffer from a lot of low back pain, especially even after pregnancy. And so we worked a lot with the postpartum mothers, treating them with OMT techniques for back pain, although we also work with pregnant women who are also suffering from back pain. I have several patients myself who are expecting and come to me for treatments for back pain or migraines, et cetera. As well as cancer patients, a lot of elderly or other patients with, for instance, pneumonia or what we call lymphatic issues, for instance, chronic hereditary lymphedema, or for instance, even the edema resulting from CHF, et cetera, or surgeries, or et cetera, that we often rounded on in the hospital.
So you do all this part, the special parts of your training, and you have them in place here at Unity Health, in addition to just doing some family practice medicine?
Yes, for the most part I do family practice. We're here 5 days a week now. Occasionally I do a lecture in Searcy at the Family Medicine Residency Training Program for didactics. But we're now here in Searcy 5 days a week. We're open on Fridays also. We're one of the few physicians that'll be open on a Friday, so feel free to stop by and say hi. We take walk-ins. You don't have to necessarily have an appointment, but just walk on in. If you're curious, just or in the neighborhood, you can stop by. Or if something happens, God forbid, if you sprain an ankle or something like that, we'll also have x-ray facility here available on Fridays also, and across the hospital, Harris Hospital is right across the street, if we have to do CAT scans or something like that. And the lab is going to be open also on the Friday, available.
Well, there's no doubt that you're a welcome addition to the physician staff here in Newport, and a very interesting man, to say the least, because we had a 30-minute conversation prior to getting on here, and just a people's person, a people's doctor, a guy who's interested not only in just not your health, but he's interested in you. I can tell that,
Yeah.
and I can tell you enjoy what you do.
Yeah, I love it.
Great fulfillment.
I love it. I think it was worth all the time it took and all the hardship it took to get to where I am now. And I'm very grateful to Arkansas for welcoming me, because I think Arkansas actually was a very progressive state to be interested in, and also the specialties such as neuromusculoskeletal medicine, which gives people, it's kind of like it gives people an alternative to modality for treating pain. Our approach, first of all, is holistic or integrated. We look at all aspects of that person's life, including even relationship stress, job stress, bills, emotional issues, depression. They all have a relationship on pain, pain levels, pain perception, etc. So we tend to look at the whole person in terms of what its contribution to their pain could be, before using our primary modality is the hands-on techniques, the manipulations, excuse me. But we also do standard medical treatment. I often refer out to orthopedics or neurology,
Yes.
If there is an issue that's beyond. But I also likewise get referrals often
Sure.
from neurology and from orthopedics for issues that may be non-surgical, and they can't figure it out, or migraines that are intractable, or the person has tried all the other migraine prophylaxis like Pyramid or et cetera, and they're just not getting, they're still having issues, or the Botox didn't work. And so occasionally I'll have referrals from neurology and with the neuromusculoskeletal medicine. So it's, but in any event, the approach is to look at the whole person and to find out more of the cause of the pain rather than to just treat the pain.
So what you're telling me is, when life gets in your way, come see this man right here. When life gets in the way, when you've got that pain, you've got those things that you don't know what's wrong, and when you talk about the muscles and the skeletal system, along with the nerves in the body and how things operate, and the body's such a vast array of stuff that the common folk don't know. We don't know a lot about that.
People are complicated. Everyone's more complicated than they even imagine, which is also, people talk about spirituality and religion and God, and it makes you more accepting of the fact that there must be some sort of higher power involved in all of this, because there's no way that all of this could just coincidentally be so fabulously complicated and work so well.
Exactly right.
And it's so myself, I think God is a very important part of my life, and spirituality is a very important part of my life. And I think I have been blessed in that regard, and I'm even with being here. And you have to think about things like that. But we get an amazing amount of very interesting cases here because of the neuromusculoskeletal medicine. For instance, such as Arnold-Chiari malformation, myotonic dystrophy, not muscular dystrophy, but myotonic, which is even more rare. dystrophy, but also treat a lot of TMJ, trigeminal neuralgia, along with the migraines. And migraines themselves can be very complicated or very complex, and I can talk to you anytime you want more about that. And serotonin syndrome, all sorts of very interesting things. And Arkansas is amazing in how it can throw things you've never seen in, or at least I've never seen, the rare zebras that we talk about in medicine at you, walk right into this door in a town like Newport.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
yes,
and things, for instance, that there may be only 200 in the country. But
well, we knew we were unique in Newport, Arkansas. There's no doubt about that.
They'll walk right into that door.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to meet you, my friend. We're excited about you being here, and wrote the phone number down. Of course, it's at the bottom of the screen right there, 870-495-1349 if you need more information. If you need an appointment with a man that can figure out your pain right here, this man right here is the guy. Once again, my friend, good to see you, Dr. Parker.
Thank you so much.
And we'll visit some more interesting stuff, what you bring to the table, and no doubt that Unity Health and Newport, Arkansas is a big plus to have you here. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Farmer's Tire Mart in Newport, Malcolm Avenue, where the rubber meets the road. If you need tires for your car, if you need mud tires for your truck, if you need street tires for your truck, if you need tractor tires, if you need lawnmower tires, if you need your ATV tired up, if you need tires for your lawnmower, whatever the case may be, I bet you Tommy Bain can get the tire for you. He may not have them in stock, but he can get them there in a day or two. So do a little business with Farmer's Tire Mart right here in Newport. They've been at Malcolm Avenue for many, many years. Tires for cars, trucks, boat trailers, any type of trailer, you name it, they can do it. And so proud to know that these guys also do some maintenance work on automobiles to keep your automobile running when it's real cold in the wintertime, and we're fixing to go through a cold spell, probably as you watch this program, and we still got a lot of winter left through the rest of February, and you'll have some winter in March also. But oil changes, let them check your tire pressure, make sure that your fluid levels are all good. They do front-end work, they do brake works. They have a mobile service available also at Farmer's Tire Mart. Tommy and Linda Bain been doing business here for many, many years, and they thank you for your business and hope you continue to do business with them in 2019. Farmer's Tire Mart, where the rubber meets the road. They're located in Malcolm Avenue in Newport. White River Area Agency on Aging, and we're visiting with Shadow McGuffey today. And no, it's Mr. Ted Hall again.
Yes, absolutely.
How's Mr. Hall doing?
Well, I'm doing well.
You tell me on the phone yesterday I'm going to visit with the Chief Operating Officer, Shadow McGuffey, who everyone knows, and I come in the door and you say, well, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, well, she's a grandma. Right. They don't call her grandma. She doesn't look like grandma. But,
no, she doesn't.
No, but I think she's Nana. But no, she had to. Her mother was out of town, and so she had to take care of Ava. So
there
that's
you
really
go.
why I'm here.
There you go.
Hey, we're talking about really the backbone in some ways of what we do at White River Area Agency on Aging. And, we have around 850 employees, David. And of that 150, probably between 600 and 650 are actually in homes today. And we serve a 10-county area. And we know this program, we use Independence County and Jackson County, part of White, I guess. But anyway, we have 10 counties that we serve. And of those, of our 850 employees, around 600, between 600 and 650 are in homes every day, giving baths, cooking, running errands for people. So sometimes they think that we only deal with folks that are older and that may be financially not in great shape, but we do a lot of things. We take care of people that have a disability at any age.
Okay.
At any age, David. And so then another thing, David, that's becoming more and more prevalent as more people get older and the system starts working as far as long-term insurance. So we're seeing people that we serve that have long-term insurance. We see people that want to have their loved one come through us because we do background checks and those kind of things. So we have a lot of private pay folks too. So it's not just those that are on Medicaid where we take care of. We take care of a lot of people, and so a lot of people need to understand if they don't really know how all this system works, and it is kind of it's not real clean, but it's as far as the process, you've got to make sure that you know how the process works.
Sure.
What I'm trying to say, and we have care managers, and so that's why if someone has any questions about senior care, we're the place to go.
Right.
And we help
Absolutely.
people all the time, David. And it may not be that we can help them, but we can get them directed at least where they can start getting. So there's a number, is a 800 number. It's 1-800-382-3205. Okay. That's 800-382-3205. And they can just give us that number, and then that will start the process, and we can get a care manager. And then what happens, Dave, after a care manager is contacted, then we contact the family, and then we can visit with them, and then we can have some type of understanding what's going on with the potential client, and then we can really go through and help them. A lot of people said, well, can I get services today? Well, if you know, there is a process,
gotta have a process,
and so we can do that. They even have a, before someone can use our services, there's a group called Optum, and it's something that the state has required, and they come and do assessment along with us and our nurses. So again, the government's trying to be good stewards of their money, and so this is a way in which we are providing services, but we're providing services based on the need.
Right.
And so a lot of time if you're Medicaid, and usually those folks are older and they're getting support from the government to pay us, then there has to make sure there's an assessment and all that process. But if you're a veteran, if you're private pay, if you're disability, a lot of these long-term insurance, then the game changes.
Sure,
And so
absolutely.
that's the reason why they need to contact our care manager.
Right.
And that's why I said that 800 number can help them get that. And so it's, it's always important to at least know where to go if you have questions about senior care. Because I know in my own, my mother-in-law got sick, and I knew White River Area Agency was a place I need to go. I didn't understand the process,
right,
and how it works and all those kind of things, but they were able to get me service, and that was in White County. But we serve 10 counties, and we've been in business almost 40 years now.
Yes, sir.
And that's been here long before I got here, David. So they've been doing a good job. But we do have a spirit of helping seniors, and that's what our focus is. And so lots of other things we have to do, but the main thing is that we're interested in seniors, and we're interested in helping them.
You know, surprisingly enough, Mr. Ted, I have people ask me from time to time, and more so than time to time, frequently, they'll say, well, I saw you and Mr. Hall talking about White River Area Agency on aging, and we got an office in Newport. Now tell me what that is. So there's really a lot of people out there that really say, I don't know what you guys do.
Right,
I don't,
absolutely.
But there's tons of people that we're helping.
Yeah.
We're helping tons, but there are folks that really don't know, and you don't know till you have that need.
That's right.
And then when you have that need, then you call and you find out who we are.
Absolutely. Well, and a lot of people don't realize, we are responsible for all the senior centers in our 10-county area.
Absolutely.
So we have 27 senior centers, and we contract those, and it's part of the Older Americans Act, but we actually contract, and of course Unity Health has the contract,
Sure.
in Jackson and White County, so McCrory and all that area there. So anyway, we work with different hospitals and providing those services for senior centers. So that's really, really important. And of course, we like to look at that. We do give people hope, and so when you've got a sick one, or you've got folks who are getting older, and you have questions, then we're the place to give them hope. And so we all need hope, David.
Well, there's no doubt about it.
We all need
hope and help.
That's
you know?
right.
Yeah,
and all of us have had people help us along the way, and I certainly have. And so we want to continue to do that here at White River Area Agency on Aging.
Well, what a job you guys do, and as you said several times, a 10-county area and 850 employees, and 600 to 650 of those are out working in houses as we speak today. Mr. Ted Hall, it's always my pleasure to get to see you, sir.
Absolutely, good to see you.
I was expecting Shannon, but I guess you'll do, my friend.
I'm the backup because Shannon's been with us a long time, and no kidding, she's really good, and she has a heart for seniors, and so anyway, she couldn't make it, so I had to fill in.
Executive Director of White River Area Agency on Aging. This is Mr. Ted Hall. Let's continue on with more of the show.